Good evening, everyone. How are you managing to get along with Holy Week? A time that is so important to all of us as Christians, but so different just now. Many people wonder just what Jesus did during the week of the Passion, from his entry through the Golden Gate to Good Friday, when he was crucified. Well, Wednesday we know was the night that God's plan really took off, went into action, as they say. It's very hard to believe that part of God's plan for Jesus was that he would be betrayed by one of his disciples, let alone one he was very close to. And so there are many questions that come to our mind when we think about this time of the Passion. You know, of all the things that mankind can inflict on each other, betrayal is perhaps one that really does hurt. Not physically, but mentally and spiritually. Betrayal can really just cut you to the bone, and it creates a happening in someone's life that is very hard to deal with. Judas himself realised this when it was too late to do anything about it. He couldn't reverse the decision that he had made, and so unable to deal with the consequence of his actions, he went out and hanged himself. You see, in such a situation, it is not only the victim who suffers, but the perpetrator as well. And so a very short and sharp lesson comes from today's reading. And it brings us to a point where we are halfway through the week of the Passion. In that walk with Jesus, from the Golden Gate to Calvary, and eventually the empty tomb, I have been really privileged in my ministry to have been at that empty tomb more than once. And some of you who are watching in today might have accompanied me to the Holy Land on one of the many trips that I took there. But the first thing you notice when you get to the tomb, the garden tomb, is the one I'm talking about in Jerusalem, because it creates a picture in your mind what the tomb must have looked like. And that's exactly what it looks like in the garden tomb. Right at the front of the garden tomb is a door leading into the tomb. And on that door, there is a notice that says, "He is not here, he is risen." And that's the essence of our belief. And that can only take place with the players that Jesus that God had chosen. Jesus knew full well what Judas was going to do. And he must have wondered, what on earth is he taking his time for? It's about time he got on with it. Betrayal is a sin that I hope many of us will not be too familiar with. But you may just be guilty. Have you promised Jesus that you would always follow him, and then you go your own way? Betrayal. Have you promised to support your church and decide to do something else on a Sunday morning? Betrayal. We all of us make promises to do this and to do that. And something else always comes. And so we either forget and we put it onto the back burner. You know, Easter's a wonderful time of the year. It's my favourite time in the church. It's a time for renewal. Just look around the countryside at the moment. It's bursting with golden daffodils. Everywhere you look, There's hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of golden daffodils. The birds are nesting. You can hear them chirping away. And the trees and the shrubs in our gardens and in our parks are sprouting their buds ready to open in the heat of the sun. So let me say this. It's not too late for you now to make amends and promise to keep the promises that you promised to do. Every blessing to you and to your family this Eastertide. Good night.